For decades, we've taught our daughters how to hold their keys in between their fingers when they go out at night. And you might be asking why. And it's because we want them to be safe, because we're worried. We tell them not to go out unless they're in a crowd, not to walk the streets on their own coming home, because we're frightened that they'll be attacked. But isn't it time that we asked, why aren't we teaching our sons and our grandsons and our husbands not to make that necessary? I watched a TED Talk this morning. It was absolutely fabulous. The man on it talked about why violence against women isn't a women's issue. It's a men's issue, and it needs to be dealt with. And honestly, I think he's right. I'm tired of talking about what women can do to stop having domestic violence in their life, because frankly, women aren't the problem. We always talk about women's issues, about domestic violence, coercive control, assault, when in reality, calling it a woman's issue is wrong. It's a man's issue. And when we call it a woman's issue, men tune out instantly. They think, oh, it doesn't affect me. I'm not bothered. The shift that needs to happen is this needs to be seen as a man's issue. Men are the primary perpetrators of violence. Over 90% of violence is perpetrated by men. We've spent more than 40 years teaching our daughters how to be safe. Who is teaching our sons not to harm? Who? This is evidenced in the language we use. We use a passive voice. We say, she got pregnant. What, on her own? How about he got her pregnant? And then buzzed off. The effect is that this language hides the responsibility of the man in all of it. It makes violence seem like it just happens. A bit like the weather. The sun comes out. Oh, it's come out. It just happens. We might even say, why didn't she just leave? I've had that. Why didn't you just leave? But why don't we say, why did he do that to you? What made him think he could get away with doing that? What's the matter with him? Why did he think that that was okay? We need to start putting the subject, i.e. the man, back into the sentence. We need to focus on the actions of men, not the reactions of women. You're a good man. There will always be in the comments, not all men. And no, it isn't all men. But those not all men need to step up to the plate. They need to start speaking out among their own peer group, among other men. When they go out and they're in a pub, having a laugh, and one of them maybe comes out with something really horrible about a woman or about somebody of another race or something really gross. What do you do then? A lot of men will look down at their pint, they'll look down at their shoes, they won't say a word. But what I want you to think about is, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you? Why didn't you call him out on his terrible behaviour if you don't agree with it? Would you be the same if he was talking about your mother or your wife or your granddaughter or your daughter? I hope it wouldn't be the same. I hope you would defend them. When you see your toddler grandson playing in the nursery and you see him maybe go up to a little girl and push her over and make her cry or hit her or whatever, snatch a toy from her, whatever it is, do you say boys will be boys and that's it? Or do you go and say to him, that's not nice. We don't do things like that to women in our family. We are better than that. Do you? When you say nothing, that is the bystander approach. You say nothing, and saying nothing is consent. What the man who said all those horrible things gleans from that is you agree with him. You're one of the boys. And all those men standing around you think the same. Why do you do that? Why do you say nothing? What I want you to do is ask yourself these honest questions. Why did I laugh when I didn't agree with him? Was I afraid? And if so, what of? Did you think it would escalate into a fight? Would he beat you up? Would he mock you as a man and demean you? He might perhaps say that you're a Nancy boy or a mummy's boy. Why didn't you talk? Now I want you to imagine that you're 100 pounds lighter. Your muscles are far weaker than they are as a man. Because I want you to imagine that you're a woman getting this kind of treatment and how it feels. I know you can do it. Just imagine how you would feel if this man was your partner, your husband, and he did this to you on a daily basis. What do you imagine you'd feel then? Would you feel helpless? Perhaps you've had this behaviour for years behind closed doors when nobody can see. And this man has systematically separated you from all your friends, your family, and anybody else in your life that could support you and help you get away from him. How would you feel then? Perhaps you've been subjected to not just months, not just an evening out, but years of being subjected to his derision. Maybe you've felt the force of his punch already, or maybe his hands around your throat. Is this something you feel comfortable ignoring as the good man that you are, and choosing to ignore it when you see it or you hear it? How does this chime with the good man you see yourself as? I do actually believe in not all men. I want to see and hear those good men start conversations with other men about what it means to be a good man, a real man in the 21st century. This video isn't a male bashing video. I'm married to a really good man. I don't consider all men bad. What I am asking is that the good men take leadership on this subject and challenge those other men to be better. And finally, I want to leave you with this thought. I know that many of us watching have spent the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years carrying the weight of everyone and trying to keep them safe. We've taught our daughters to be careful. We've walked on eggshells. We've stayed quiet to keep the peace. But it's time to change the conversation. You have a voice and you have wisdom that this world needs to hear. Talk to your grandsons. Talk to your sons. Be courageous enough to say, I expect better from men in this family. We aren't doing this because we're angry. We're doing this because we love them enough to hold them to a higher standard. We are doing this so that maybe, just maybe, our granddaughters won't have to carry the same keys between their fingers like we did. Be that good man that stands up and speaks. Thank you for being here, for being brave enough to have this conversation. And if you have been, thanks for watching. Lots of love. Bye-bye.